Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Good to see you again.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to follow up. I know you've been asked this, and I've been heard bits and pieces of it, but what I wanted to focus on is the whistleblower
Yes.
protections included in the new ACSAA. The previous chairman of the committee, I know Senator Wicker, was very focused on this, and there was a report that came out that essentially said that there was a retaliatory sort of regime in place, that whistleblowers really weren't welcome, which is, I think, the impetus for part of the legislation that we're seeing now as relates to whistleblowers. But in my review of these so-called whistleblower protections, the only thing that I can really glean from this is, it's sort of window dressing or trying to paint a broken down El Camino and call it a Cadillac, because it looks like there's just some renaming of offices and an ombudsman that has been indicated here. And I'm asking, this is a sincere question to you, which is, you worked in, worked for 3 different airlines. You have a track record with ensuring safety. It's been, one of your roles. I think the last airline you worked, you were in a senior position on that. If you were king of the world here, what would you like to see in this legislation that goes further than what's in here right now to ensure that whistleblowers are protected? Because obviously culture is very important in any organization, and particularly with the FAA, I mean, safety is the highest priority. I can't think of another industry, a regulated industry like that, people are very concerned about that. So you certainly want a culture where people feel like they can come forward.
Absolutely.
Where would you go with this?
Well, sir, Senator Schmitt, thank you so much for the question. I would say 2 quick things. Number one, with respect to our program within the FAA, the Director of Audits and Investigation reports directly to me or into the Office of the Administrator. I meet with the person on a regular basis. I have not seen in my time there for this past year that I've been in the role an account where I've said that gives me pause, and we've gone through every one of those. For the ones that we've seen in the past, what I want to see and what I would like to see is that we've got strong, robust safety management systems in place at every airline and at the OEMs and all the other operators that we require. I also want to see that there's a level of transparency, and that when our inspectors in the field or manager or whomever highlights an event, that we run it to ground and that we ensure that there's absolutely no pressure. I can assure you, on my watch, we have not tolerated any pressure on behalf of our employees or inspectors in the field that we have not addressed.
Well, I think that's important, because obviously coming from the top, creating that culture where people feel like they can come forward, and they're not going to be, as it was quoted, the FAA continues to retaliate against whistleblowers instead of welcoming their disclosures in the interest of safety. That's a pretty damning statement. So it can come from the top and establishing culture. But I would like, and I don't need to hear this today, but would welcome any additions to the ACSAA that would allow for additional protections for whistleblowers. Because like I said, I think this is of paramount concern.
We appreciate the officer, and we'll be more than happy to follow up.
And let me also say and add to the chorus of what we've heard, I think the nominee that was before this committee, I guess that was just last week, in my view, is wholly unqualified. And I think you have demonstrated in, the Q&A that we've had now for a couple of weeks, certainly a greater mastery. And I was pleased to hear your comments on establishing culture, welcoming people coming forward, whistleblowers. So again, I think that the current nominee, not you, the current nominee for the highest spot here, the Biden administration would be wise, I think, to pull that back. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.